Hello, welcome to Reel to Reel, a movie review show run by us, the students at HTC. I'm Jacob, and with me today is Aiden.
Thanks for the intro. Today we will be reviewing the relatively new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem movie and seeing if it's another classic ruined by the industry or a rare reboot that deserves praise.
With that being said, let's take a quick look at the trailer, shall we?
Boys, where have you been? We're just running errands.
That's it?
Look, we're really sorry, Splinter. Some of the guys wanted to get pizza and I tried to talk them out of it.
You ratted us out.
Hey, don't use that word that way.
I mean, it's 2023.
Sorry, Dad. Hey, guys, if we weren't monsters that were shunned by society and we could do what we wanted, what would you guys do?
Go to high school?
Maybe get a girlfriend.
Can you imagine that?
Not likely.
Yes, you can.
This is insane. Turtle, mutant, karate teens. I want to know everything about you. Our dad is definitely not a giant rat. That makes me feel like he's a rat.
Police are baffled by the recent crime wave led by Superfly.
Nobody's ever seen his face.
Why?
Because he kills everyone who does.
Cool.
No, not cool.
A bit cool.
Can I kick it?
We pick out Superfly, and then everyone will think we're cool. They'll accept us.
Can I kick it? He's making a deal tonight under the Brooklyn Bridge. Can I kick?
Whoa.
Kick.
What the? Y'all some little tortoises, huh?
I can't believe there are other mutants.
You wanna roll with us? Humans are never gonna like us. So we gonna let the mutants rule the earth.
Peoples, they got to go.
Okay, sort of a twist.
We can't stop him.
We gotta try.
6 in the morning, police at my door.
Can I kick it?
My son, Michelangelo, you have heart. Donatello, you have wisdom. Raphael, you have bravery. And Leonardo, honor.
Enough talk. I dream about fighting every night.
You've got a rage problem, right?
snap.
It's not a problem.
Can I kick it? Can I kick it? Can I kick it? Can I kick it?
Again, the movie we will be reviewing today as seen in the trailer is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. This movie is a reboot of the classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies with a slightly different timeline, directed by Jeff Rowe and written by Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, Jeff Rowe, Dan Hernandez, and Benji Samit.
That's right. The movie starts off with the Techno-Cosmic Research Institute executive Cynthia Ertram, voiced by Maya Rudolph, who sends a squadron to hunt down the rogue scientist, Baxter Stockman, who is voiced by Giancarlo Esposito. Baxter created a mutagen to form his own mutant family. Starting with a housefly, Baxter is then interrupted by Cynthia's strike force and killed in the resulting explosion, while the mutagen falls into the sewers of New York City.
15 years later, we are introduced to the Turtle brothers Michelangelo, voiced by Shaman Brown Jr., Leonardo, voiced by Nicholas Cantu, Raphael, voiced by Brady Noon, and Donatello, who is voiced by Micah Abbey. The four of them have been raised by their adoptive rat father, Splinter, who is voiced by Jackie Chan. Being chased away by humans led Splinter to distrust humanity and train his sons in the art of ninjutsu, instructing them to only leave their sewer home to steal supplies. During one of these supply runs, the Turtles defeat a gang of criminals to recover a stolen moped belonging to a teenager named April O'Neil, who is voiced by Ayo Edebiri, revealing themselves and their origins.
April is an awe-inspiring journalist, and struggling to move past a viral incident of vomiting on camera, has been investigating a series of robberies of the TSRI technology by a criminal known as Superfly, who is also voiced by Ice Cube. The Turtles plan to stop Superfly and, through April's reporting, win public acceptance as heroes.
This movie stars many A-list actors and famous celebrities. To name a few, we have John Cena, Seth Rogen, Ice Cube, Jackie Chan, Paul Rudd, Post Malone, and many others. Now, let's look at a behind-the-scenes clip.
I think the animation and the flavor of the movie is so original and fresh.
What we wanted to do was create an incredibly fun and engaging version of the Ninja Turtles.
We had this idea that they had to feel like real teenagers.
Turtle boys, actually.
I would say teens.
They need to look like teenagers. They need to sound like teenagers. It's like, what if it's animated by teenagers?
Can I kick it?
The doodles that you do in the size of your notebook were taken, extrapolated, and made into the look of a whole movie. Weird shapes and crazy perspective. You would reach this point where you're like, a little bit more askew and misshapen. Great, it's perfect.
Can I kick it?
He kept using this term teenage energy over and over again.
Let's go. Let's go. I'm Leo. Can I kick it?
The bigger swings visually that these animated movies are taking, the more excited people seem to be by them.
We've talked enough about all the basics. Let's now get into some cool facts and trivia.
As you can see, when looking at this new reimagined Turtles movie, the art and animation style is very reminiscent to the Spider-Verse style, but somewhat different. This was actually intended by director Jeff Rowe, saying how he, along with Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, were inspired and wanted to add an overall sketch-like and imperfect look close to how a child or early teenager would draw and color to make their style more unique.
Also, did you know, a cool detail to note is unlike many cartoon-based movies or shows, Seth Rogen made it so all the actors were in the same room when recording lines that had them together in the same scenes. Seth Rogen had said many times how he used this during his role as Pumbaa in the 2019 live-action Lion King, and it was a very smooth and very work-friendly way of getting the job done, which is made obvious when looking at how characters interact in this movie.
On another note, this movie had a budget of $70 million, which for this type of movie is amazingly low, with a majority of animated films being closer to $90 million or even more. With this movie coming out at the start of August, the movie has grossed over $90 million and seems to still be growing even now as we talk about it.
Obviously, you know this film is filled to the brim with A-list actors, but did you know that surprisingly, Seth Rogen didn't need to use his connections that much? Most of the actors he asked agreed to play the roles, since most of these actors or their children grew up watching some version of the Ninja Turtles. So they wanted a chance to play a role that was a part of their childhood. We will be back with this short message.
3, 2, 1.
With what's happening today with smartphones, everybody has the ability to shoot video. But not everybody has the ability to edit that video and communicate a thought and idea in a professional way with high production value. That's where we come in. This particular program allows a student to do single cam productions, multi-cam productions, short films, corporate promos, things like that. So there's a lot of different things that a student can learn in the video production area.
What I love here is the practical work that I can learn. It's like a non-pressure environment, and I like that about it.
All those things that you're not going to learn unless you do it. You can read about it in a book, but that's not going to help you when you're on set.
Welcome back, everybody. This movie brought back a mix of old personalities and some new ones with a new reboot. Personally, I did enjoy the movie, but it did leave me a little disappointed. As someone who adores the old live-action turtle movies, I couldn't help but think that this reboot's only comedy was just bad references to the Gen Z culture. One other thing that bothers me is that they make Shredder at the end seem like a contracted assassin that TCRI hires. I just feel that they ruined such an awesome villain by changing his backstory, as well as how Shredder's backstory related to Splinter's. By doing this, we don't get the rivalry that we had in the comics and the old films. This movie does, however, have some really good themes like acceptance, adolescence, and a little bit of maturity. The maturity in this movie is something I do have a problem with. I feel that after the Superfly fight, the Turtles should have matured more than they did. Overall, this movie did have some good themes. The one thing I absolutely adore in this movie is its animation. I love the grungy sketch-like comic look that this movie brings. I also like how we get to see some exaggerated distortions in the characters themselves. It really drives home the fact that this is an animated film. And I really love to see how new animated films are going back to how animation was intended to be. Overall, this movie is very well animated and had an amazing score. Even though I disagree on some of the choices that were made for the reboot, this movie did showcase good themes. Because of this, I'm going to give this movie a 3 out of 5 reels. What are your thoughts, Jacob?
Me personally, I really enjoyed the movie. I liked the more family teenage dynamic they brought to this version of the Turtles. If I had to describe it, I would call it a comfort action movie. And as Aiden said, the animation is really enjoyable. Like most movies nowadays, adapts the new animation style that's just really pleasing to look at. Some parts I agree with you, Aiden, is the fact they hinted at Shredder being a company-like assassin and getting rid of the Foot Clan, which was a major story aspect of Shredder. And I feel like they kind of ruined him by changing such a major plot line. There were, however, some small tidbits here and there that was a stretch, like how the Turtles managed to become somewhat professional ninjas by watching old VHS tapes and whatnot. But overall, I would give this movie a 4 out of 5 reels.
Now I think it's about time to wrap this up, don't you?
I agree, Aiden. If you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to receive notifications and new uploads.
And if you're watching this on our Facebook page, make sure you follow us and you'll be notified the next time we go live.
Again, my name is Jacob, and along with me, my friend here, Aiden.
Join us back at noon today. Cowabunga!